we turn to the Contra Costa County city of San Ramon. And ever since their city became the earthquake capital of the Bay Area, people living there say they had one Christmas wish. They don't need a miracle. They just want a quake-free day. We sent NBC Bay Area Scott Budman to dig into the wish and see if Santa granted it.
Even on Christmas, San Ramon is talking about rocking.
It's been rolling, rocking and rolling.
Earthquakes are weird, they're freaky, they're weird.
Earthquakes by the dozen here. There have been multiple shakers this week, more than 300 minor quakes since November. They come several times a day.
I felt like I woke up last night and felt a little rumbling. I don't know if I did or not, but yeah.
So maybe you're just starting to feel them.
Yes, absolutely.
Even on the trip home from college.
Between the airport ride, from the plane to the house, there's a couple, yeah.
They've all been relatively small, but feel like they're nonstop. Local kids are becoming amateur seismologists.
It was a 3.9 earthquake, I think, and I felt it one morning in bed.
And just about everyone we spoke to today has a specific Christmas wish.
I don't want any more earthquakes.
No, hopefully no more earthquakes, so hopefully everyone stays safe.
They're not asking for a miracle, just steady ground.
I just hope that, we don't keep rocking and rolling.
From a hopeful San Ramon, Scott Budman, NBC Bay Area News.
All right, and so far today, it would appear San Ramon is getting its Christmas wish. The USGS has not recorded any earthquakes today. Fingers crossed.
Your regular programming to bring you breaking news this morning from the East Bay. A live look at our seismograph this morning, where we've had reports of a continuous swarm of earthquakes that have been happening in the East Bay. The latest at 3.7 at 9:07 this morning, just southeast of San Ramon.
And as Laura was just saying, this is coming from a swarm of earthquakes that we've seen in that same area. This is the Calaveras Fault, that 3.7 that just happened just a few minutes ago. But then we had earlier today a 2.6, a 2.5, a 2.7, a 3.0, and these all started earlier this morning. Since about 2:30 or so this morning, we've seen many different earthquakes in that area along the Calaveras Fault. No reports of any damage or injuries, but certainly something that is concerning to a lot of people.
Very much so, and with this latest quake being a little bit stronger in strength, of the 3.7 this morning, no doubt, with people out and about a little bit after 9 o'clock this morning, they certainly probably felt it.
Yeah, so this is just something that we want to keep people reminded. It's a reminder to have that earthquake kit ready. This was not certainly a major earthquake here in our area, but certainly just a reminder to be prepared, because we never know when that earthquake will happen. But a 3.7 happening just minutes ago here in the San Ramon area. This is along the Calaveras Fault, which we've been seeing that swarm of earthquakes happen over the last few weeks.
Yeah, not only the last few weeks, a few hours, few days that we've been having, and over the last month, they've actually had quite a bit of seismic activity there, but kind of in the lower range when it comes to the magnitude of these earthquakes that they've been having in that area. If you felt anything, jump online. We're posting on our social media sites as well. We'd like to hear from you, whether you felt it, if you experienced anything. Sometimes the ones that happen in the middle of the night startle people a little bit, although in the Bay Area we're all prepared, or we should be prepared at least, for these earthquakes.
A lot of people always say, the first thing they do, was that an earthquake? So if you are in the San Ramon area, in that area of the East Bay, and you felt some shaking just moments ago, yes, that was an earthquake, a 3.7 there in San Ramon. It happened at 9:07, and about 10 minutes ago. So, Of course, we're still monitoring that.
Most definitely, and we'll have crews throughout, if there's any additional concerns, and we're monitoring the USGS as well. Once again, a 3.7 earthquake in San Ramon this morning, just after 9 o'clock this morning, following several swarms of earthquakes that we've seen in that area. Stay with NBC Bay Area and NBCBayArea.com for the very latest.
Follow stories in your community and all across the Bay Area. And the big story tonight is the beginning of a rainy stretch and a swarm of earthquakes in the East Bay. The quake swarms centered in the East Bay, and they all hit within a few minutes of each other in the 7 o'clock hour. According to the latest data from the USGS, at least 6 quakes rattled San Ramon beginning at about 7:40 tonight. As you can see from this map, they're all pretty much concentrated in that one area, all of them registering within about 5 kilometers or 3 miles from the center of San Ramon, with the biggest one registering at a 4.0 magnitude. Now, for more now on both of those things, what's to come, let's go ahead and bring in First Alert meteorologist.
There is a little more to that story. I mean, we've been talking about this for a month in San Ramon. Meantime, there is some light rain on the map. We're going to talk about that coming up in the full forecast in a bit. But for right now, I want to show you a short little history. Let's come in for the closer monitor. It'll be a little bit easier to see this. You're looking at the last 30 days of earthquake history. This is from a great website called Temblor.net. There's San Ramon. So you've got multiple earthquakes on here. They're color-coded. The deeper the shade of red on here are earthquakes that have happened within the last day. You can see the 4 Devin just told you about congregated here. But then these shade into lighter colors, and when you get into the yellow, those are earthquakes that happened 30 days ago. This swarm has continued now for a month. And it's going right up along the Pleasanton Fault, and it runs right along one of the major avenues there through this part of town, Acosta Avenue. There's been a just kind of congregation of them right along that drive there on southeast San Ramon. By the way, there's the 4. This was enough to feel, not enough to do damage. A 4.0, you're going to feel it. And when we look at what the USGS has to say about people who did report this through the region, some people even said they felt it in the city. But it was felt very lightly. No damage from this. There is no reason to believe that this swarm tells us anything about the Pleasanton Fault or the likelihood of stronger ones to come. The odds of a significant earthquake are exactly the same tonight as they were 6 months ago. And that's what the seismologists have been telling us about this. By the way, it's the 7th time since 1970 that San Ramon has experienced a swarm like this. This happens. Be back in a couple of minutes. We're going to talk about our forecast. We'll get into the rain. A lot to talk about there. For now, Devin, back to you.
Breaking into our NBC Bay Area previously scheduled programming. Once again, I'm Kira Clapper reporting from the NBC Bay Area studios to bring you an update on that swarm of earthquakes centered in and around San Ramon. The most recent being a 3.0 at 10:42 this morning. 7 total quakes now since 9:38 this morning. We're going to check in with meteorologist Cynthia Pimentel. It's not so much the size of these aftershocks since that original 3.8, but it's the volume.
Yeah, that swarm that's been happening for about an hour now, just a little past, Kira. Those ranging from about 3.0, 2.9 to about 3.2. So it does make some people kind of nervous to continue to feel just that light shaking there in the East Bay. But our original one, 3.7, that happened at around 9:38. Waiting for official word if it's bumping it up to a 3.8, but still a pretty good jolt for people that were much more awake this morning compared to those that happened in the 3-4 o'clock hour. So those aftershocks are something that we're going to continue to watch. Of course, hopefully they start to diminish in that magnitude as we go throughout the day, but we'll keep watching those as they go on. So a 3.0 on the lighter side. Once we get to about 4 and greater, we do start to feel some more noticeable kind of shaking. I think people were calling John at the desk to report, things were moving around or where we were going to go to check in with people, but no injuries. So that's the good part. We'll continue to watch that as we go on. With swarms and that activity that continues to happen this morning, always a good reminder that we do live here, earthquake country, so it's a good time to make that plan. Download the apps, of course, NBC Bay Area and our Telemundo one for our Spanish audience. I also like to have the MyShake app. That one would be for something that is happening pretty on the large scale side. Remember, we do those drills and stuff. You can update those settings to where you are just to make sure that you have at least 10 seconds to prepare for those bigger quakes. Always a good time to make sure that your emergency bags are fresh, of course, and things are ready to go with you and your family. We're going to continue to pay attention to these small quakes. Hopefully nothing else happens throughout the day, but again, that 3.7 was our first one, then followed by those more minor ones on the 3.0 to kind of 3.2 range. We'll continue to watch the USGS website and, of course, our Seismo, picking them up little by little on that energy as the morning has gone on. We're going to see if it was Calaveras or Diablo Fault. More of that information as the afternoon continues. All right, Cynthia, thanks. If you're just joining us, we want to update you starting at 9:38 this morning. A 3.8 magnitude quake centered in or around San Ramon in the East Bay. And since then, we have had 6 total earthquakes, the most recent being at 10:42 this morning. Meteorologist Cynthia Pimentel will follow the latest. Check in on NBCBayArea.com and our free NBC Bay Area app for the latest. Stay safe on this Sunday.
Expecting to see a month's worth of rain in just 1 week. But we do want to start tonight with the latest on that earthquake swarm. The USGS says it began when a 2.5 magnitude quake struck in San Ramon about 7:40 tonight. Since then, at least 18 quakes have struck the area, the largest of which was a 4.0 shortly before 8 o'clock. And plenty of people in the San Ramon area say the quakes caught them off guard.
Really very loud. We were at the top floor, so everything was shaking. My car started shaking back and forth.
And were you scared?
A little bit. It kind of felt like I don't know, had too much to drink. It was like, ooh. But I didn't. It was an earthquake.
And video sent to us from San Ramon shows a chandelier swaying slightly after one of those quakes tonight. We did get calls here in the KTVU newsroom from a lot of viewers who felt the shaking across the East Bay. That includes in places like Lafayette, Walnut Creek, Castro Valley, and Newark. All right, let's bring in meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez. Obviously, you're going to talk about the rain here, but the quakes have us talking tonight.
They do. I've had so many messages from people. I cannot believe how many people this time around in the Tri-Valley that did feel it. Maybe it's because a lot of people are home on this rainy Friday evening as well, right? But it has been an interesting evening as a swarm of earthquakes continue over the fault in the San Ramon area. We're talking about, this is just one branch, the Calaveras Fault of the greater fault, which is the San Andreas Fault. So there you have it right there, a 3.8 shaker in San Ramon earlier this evening. That in addition to this right here, this is your storm tracker. We still have some light rainfall in and around the Bay Area at this particular time. Right now, dotting portions of the North Bay. You see it right there, right around Muir Beach into Mill Valley. We also have a little bit of light precipitation around the city and into the peninsula this evening and all the way along the coastal areas, and getting a hit and miss scattered shower just around the Union City area, as well as in Pleasanton in the Tri-Valley. So far today, we've seen about 0.2 of an inch of rain in the city to nearly a 0.5 inch of rain in Mill Valley. Now, the big question is, well, we get the rain here, and it has been raining in the Greater Lake Tahoe area. How much snow will fall, and will it be a white Christmas? Hey, Alex, we have all those details, and they're still coming up.
All right, looking forward to that. Roberta, thank you. We'll see you in just a bit.
Question of the day after an earthquake is normally, did you feel it? Well, today it was, did you feel them? Parts of the East Bay were rattled by a string of earthquakes.
That's right. We're talking about 8 of them, all back-to-back, centered around right there in San Ramon. You can see our seismograph on the top left. The strongest at 3.8 was felt as far as San Francisco and Vallejo, according to the USGS.
Good news, no reports of injuries or major damage, but neighbors say the strongest quake felt quick, like a sharp jolt. NBC Bay Area's Christy Smith has our story.
The shaking started just before 10 Sunday morning. This is video of a bedroom in San Ramon. The 3.8 earthquake was the strongest, but not the only quake to hit the area early today. We caught up with several neighbors who felt the shaking.
Well, I was checking my email, and it felt like it almost knocked me out of my chair, right? And I just ran outside. I thought somebody ran into the house. Yeah, it was just a big boom.
My wife and I were sitting in our family room in San Ramon, and all of a sudden, boom, big jolt. bigger than, well, that's the biggest one I think since '89, and we've been in the same house since.
At least a half dozen earthquakes larger than 3.0 struck this morning near San Ramon, in addition to a number of smaller ones.
All of these events are happening in a really tight little cluster of earthquakes. In fact, there are many more that are too small to be felt.
Harold Tobin is director of the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network and state seismologist for Washington. We asked if the swarm of small quakes might provide any relief of pressure.
Unfortunately, small earthquakes really don't change the picture for larger earthquakes. People like to think of that, yeah, exactly, as relieving a little pressure. It doesn't work that way. The earthquake scale, remember, is this sort of logarithmic scale. So even a 3.8, a 3.0 is so much smaller than a 6 or 7 or larger that we would worry about for damage, that they don't have any significant impact on the stress on the faults.
Back in nearby Danville at Dogma Boutique, Barkery and Spa, Kylie Rivera felt some shaking.
We just opened. We'd come in to get the store ready for clients to come in, and we were at the computer getting the computer open and ready, and then the room started shaking, and then we both turned around. But it wasn't super big, honestly. It wasn't, nothing fell over.
Still startling for many, and a reminder to stay prepared. Christy Smith, NBC Bay Area News.